Everything is live.
What were you saying? Next week is a short thing that your sister-in-law's coming?
I believe so, yes.
Oh.
Because they're going on a trip. So
You're like a stop on the trip?
Yeah. I need a blanket.
Who's that about you? Blue?
Rabbi Yehuda blanket.
Who's that?
that's his name.
Oh yeah?
The Talmud. He's here every week.
Hesse Jacobs is here.
Hesse Jacobs? The other Jacobs. I know it's his brother. What's his name?
No idea. Marvin did it?
Don't know.
Are we still muted?
No, I'm not muted. It's live, but I feel bad. He also comes every single week. I mix him up with Hesse Jacobs all the time.
It's just all the best. So you gonna want a coffee? Snapple? Snapple? Ice water?
Yeah, for sure.
Ice cream?
Avi gives me a hard time about that.
Oh, yeah?
Blue buttons over there.
Oh, admit?
Who's making this?
They're all muted except us, right?
Everybody's muted, yeah. They do not have the ability to unmute either. They get that for about 2 minutes at the end of the year just to say good job.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Usher Jacobs.
A good nail of Shabbos. Basically, the Parshas of BeHar. So we'll see what we can get in on BeHar. Maybe we'll go a little bit to Bechut Kaisai. But we'll see. Meanwhile, in the union of BeHar, it seems to go through the concept of what's pilus by us. We have a different, even though we believe there's a concept of mine and yours, but there's a difference between a Yid and a Goy in this concept. A Yid, the whole concept of mine and yours is only what the Rebbeinu Shem permits. And he does not permit it to be mine. What is this kavanah? The Rebbeinu Shem, he wants it to be, everything is his. Kli kol haaretz, land is his. And I guess the main part of by the land always being stressed to be his, the pshat is that we understand that everything that we have is from him. and which is again the big yesod of Sefer Vayikra, is to know and to understand that everything is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this is basically what it's telling you. You know, you have no right of ownership in the sense of real ownership. You don't have any rights in the sense of a full sale. All the maximum you can earn is for crops. And in Mele, there isn't much you give away and there isn't much you get. Because it helps we're living from God's kingdom. Okay. And basically, that everything is for everybody. In other words, there's no such thing as mine or yours. Okay. So it goes in to explain the normal din of Shemitah, and then it also explains the din of Yovel. Now the din of Yovel is a strange din compared to Shemitah. Shemitah was every 6 years. Whenever it happens, that's it. Yovel has to be the clear of Yovel. In other words, if they don't have the things that all three things that has to be free avodim, land going back, the debts being canceled, if these things don't take place, then there is no Yovel. In other words, but Shemitah there is. Shemitah has nothing to do with that. In other words, Shemitah there is, Yovel there isn't. And yet the renewal is Yovel, not Shemitah. In other words, when they give a guy a second chance, meaning, you know, you wanted to be an expert, felt that you can do better. In other words, God tell you when someone takes care of you. You don't want to have to make decisions yourself. You don't want to make all these type of things. Okay, fine. You're entitled to do whatever you want. But somewhere along in life, you're going to have to go out and try again. And try to become an Eved Hashem the way you're supposed to be. Not anymore just see, you know, how I can live by serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, meaning I'll be an Eved, and from a guy who happens to be a rich man. And by doing this, he will treat me and teach me certain things, and by that I'll accept it more easily. But I think the Afal PK, it's a din of Eved. Okay. So now it doesn't mess up the countings, because the easiest way they count is generally the Yovel is the first of the 6 years in the second cycle. So therefore that's going to be the 50th year, 49 years and the 50th. But that year is going to be Yovel, and therefore the next year is going to be the second year, whatever it is, then you'll have Yovel being counted that way. So it just has less, less time to be counted. Now, it's going to be the longest davening of Yom HaRoim. Because you'll end up with the Yom Kippur davening and the Rosh Hashanah davening, because you have to make a bracha on each shefer. What do you call it? So you're going to have the Musaf of Rosh Hashanah and the Musaf of Yom Kippur both davened at the same time. And basically that's it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And this is basically the way it goes. And basically, I buy the field according to the number of crops that will be left on this field. I buy it for 50 years. I get 50 years worth of crops. Each crop is X amount of dollars because it's divided by that many crops for the thing. So therefore, Mamela, if he sells it back, I don't have that much ownership in it, and therefore, whatever it is, it'd be less. That's all. Okay. Now, the Shiva said a big yesod here. You have an interesting how miracles work. I mean, Ben Hashem can make miracles work very easily, with difficulty to understand, or without difficulty to understand. For instance, the Rebbeinu Shalom wants you to have bracha. So instead of giving you bracha, in other words, I give you X amount of dollars or whatever it is there, I make it that your materials, your cars, I guess every item that works, electric item, right? It uses less electricity. So my nafkamina to me, why I have the extra $100, $1,000 that I need, is because I got a better service. What do you call it? Now, instead of getting 10 miles to the gallon, I get 20 miles to the gallon, right? Where obviously it's going to cost me obvious half the price. And that's going to be a tremendous ness and tremendous gain by the thing there. But the Maisa, that's people understand that very easily. Because the Banshee made it, that it worked easier, more efficiently, whatever it is. So here also, if we're going to ask a question, what's going to be, what are we going to eat in the 7th year? Now, nobody eats the 7th year. I mean, the 7th year is the 6 years through it. You don't eat the 7th year. But there is a certain amount, obviously. We can't do any work anymore, so therefore everything becomes hefker. And therefore the thing that, but basically, I'm going to ask that question because so the guy should be asked, what would have been if you don't ask the question? So he says, if you don't ask the question, then the Banishon will give it to you naturally. You don't have to work. In other words, instead of having my fill-ups every 400 miles or something like that, my fill-ups will be every 800 miles. And I wouldn't even be accurate. I may be noticed after time. See, if I called cheshbon, I'll be accurate. That's why it's not kedai to hold cheshbon. You want the Banshim to give you bracha every year. We will pray, and we come, and what are you going to do? You're going to charge. You just bought a new car. You want to see your mileage. That's what you want to get. You want to see your mileage. If they fooled you, it didn't fool you. So you're going to read what they promised you, and then you're going to say, "Oh, I'm getting another 5 miles an hour gallon over here." So maybe I'm doing well. But by doing that, you're automatically limiting yourself to whatever they'll give you. What I'm supposed to do is say what I can get out of the thing without counting it. Because that we want the Asomecha. We'll learn it not so much now, but in other Teicheche. The Banshim will give you a lot of 20s. You're going shopping, Obviously, if I count the $100 bills I have, it's easy to count. So I know what I have, I know what I can spend, and that's all I have. Okay, I can't spend more than that. But if, on the other hand, I'm not spending more than what the bench wants to give me, in other words, I'm giving the truah that he's giving me for this year. So therefore, the truah that the bench gave me is wild. The thing that is wild. It's very nice. You and they. Yeah.
20s. Pile of 20s. Pile of 20s.
Pile of 20. If I have hundreds, it's very hard to slip in 100 into a person's pocket. Usually he counts the hundreds pretty good. 20s, he don't count so fast. He takes a look and he sees he got a wad of 20s and probably looks like enough what he will have for shopping, so he goes shopping. As long as the shopping he keeps buying, the money will be enough. And hopefully the Ben Shem will give him everything that he needs that time, even though technically he didn't have that kind of money in his pocket. But another 20 to find in your pocket, there's no cash. I thought I had 10 of them, and I found I had 11 of them. Okay, big deal. I had 12 of them. So in the bracha, you don't feel, that's called basomecha. Now with the Ben Shem, if I count it, I know exactly what I have. The Ben Shem can't show me an S. But if the pshat is I don't know what I have, so the Ben Shem can show me an S. So therefore I'm gonna have an S. And that could be, as they say, whether it's I get more mileage to the gallon or whatever reason it is. It's, there's different ways of doing it.
How is he tying this back to Shemitah?
So the Shemitah, it says that the Chaydi will be by Shonash. I'll be mitzvah my bracha by Shonash Shvius. That is not what I'm going to do. If I don't ask the question, that's all I should learn. If I don't ask the question, what will be if I don't ask the question? It's the same rule. You'll ask. Then when it was in my neichel, then I'll say this is what's going to happen. What happened? I won't ask. He said, you won't ask, you won't need. So what will happen is that the thing will happen by itself. That's the thing over there. And he said that the bracha is not a grace zach when you have to work twice as much. What do you mean by that? I'm going to be Sabbath 3 years worth of stuff to grow in 1 year. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have 3 years worth of stuff. I mean, I have to have places to store it. I have to have workers to cut it down. I have to have, there's a lot of work that has to be done. I was having that much bracha is not a big thing. It doesn't do me any favor by having so much bracha because I'm going to have to work a lot harder. So therefore, it's not a big bracha. But what happened if I wouldn't ask? Then I wouldn't have the bracha. That what I would be getting is 40 miles to the gallon. I'd be getting where my money is able to buy more. There's asomecha involved. There's another 20 slips in, and so on. There's nothing has the cost. The cost is built into the expenditures. There's no such thing. In other words, the Ben Isham will give me the bracha as much as I need, and that's what I'll have. And therefore, I won't have any tzlacha. I mean, I won't have any negativeness by all of a sudden having to have bracha come on the working harder. I don't have to work harder. Okay. And Now, and basically, it's free. Everyone can lose whatever they want, and the land will get paid. We see it with Shemitah. I don't know the cheshbenis of how they work all the Shemitahs things, the Sregim and stuff. But there are methods. There are methods how it's done. And it's important that we understand these methods, that it's giving bracha to what he called, to what we have. But exactly how you're able to charge for certain things, that becomes very questionable. How you can charge for certain things. I'm not allowed to charge for that, whatever it is there. And therefore the bracha becomes mamish, it falls apart. You don't see it anymore. And what happens is that the biggest advocates, I guess, that will see the kfirah were the ones with taka kaifrim. Now, I have to see the money in the bank. If I don't see the money in the bank, I don't count. That's not good. Now, it could be...
What's he saying? The biggest advocates of what? The biggest advocates, what was he saying?
Of this thing of let's see, Bashana Shliyas. We'll see.
The ones who push that they want to ask.
Want to see it, right. And it comes out that the ones that will be the biggest ma'aminim are going to be the biggest kafrim, the ones that really don't trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When they see it in the bank, then they'll trust. And that's not what the Rebbeinu really wants. And that's why it makes it harder for them, Taki, when they have to do something. Yeah, I don't know what I wanted to say. Okay. Now, telling Yeshayla, why was it that, the Torah seems to put down that the guys who are going to keep Shemitah are going to be able to keep Shemitah by themselves? And the way we do Shemitah, we chazik them. We have guns, funds for Shemri Shemitah, and so on, and that doesn't seem to be saying over here what's going to be. So that could be no kashit. How the Benishim does bracha. Once upon a time, what Klal Yisrael was, let's say, a agricultural society. And therefore, it didn't make much sense. How are you going to eat if you don't grow anything? So therefore, there has to give you a teretz. But Bizman Hazeh, let's say our finances are not made at all by things that grow. We have no shaykhs at all. We're in real estate, or in Amazon, or whatever it is there, grocery stores. But there's no more any thing that relates to food that grows in my field. Sim Kain, the Rebbeinu gives bracha to Klal Yisrael. Now, with the fact that the land is able to produce that much money, and by that way I don't need the what grows in the ground, it doesn't need these things. So therefore, that is the bracha itself. So the Rebbeinu gives me that bracha to show me that can sustain our life society. So we'll have enough money to give away the tzedakah. In other words, to give it for these guys. Now, there's an Indian, it seems that somebody loses his steyachuzosai, so he has to sell it. And Chazal made it, or the Torah makes it, ben doidoi, ben doidoi, that he can't sell it to somebody in the street. He has to give it to somebody in the family. Obviously, it's not a point that the thing gets that they work. Yeah. Guy became poor. He sold his de'achuza. I'm going to redeem it for him, and then I give it back to him. What's going to stop him from not doing it a second time? In other words, he sees his relatives come and try to save it for him, so he's going to make a lot of money on the deal. So why should he not do it a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time? All of us, you don't get the field. The field goes to the one who redeems the field. But the family didn't lose the field. That's the point. Now with the field, so what do we gain by that? So I think we gain is what's considered the minhagim of your town. I've got to be to say it like that. Is this? We find later on that there will be a whole argument between the Shevet and Menashe about the Bnei Slavchot. You know, should they get married to the relatives, not get married to their relatives? In other words, hey, you're limiting them. Yeah, but what difference it really make? In the second year, everyone agrees I can sell it. It has nothing to do with belonging to me. But not the first year. Why is it different in the first year and the second year? By Slavcha, they'll count. They'll now make this division, and because of that, the land will belong to them. Because what will happen is a daughter would marry from any Shevet, can marry into any other Shevet. So if there's no sons, so she takes the money that comes in, and it goes to her children. It goes to the land. It goes to her children. So they actually lose the what do you call it? The land. She loses the land. But if they had sure they would take the land right away, and therefore their minhagim will become accepted into the land. And now what's going to happen is they're going to they want to change the minhagim. That they can't do anymore. In other words, once the minhagim of the Shevet Menashe took hold, you can't change it for any other Shevet. But if it didn't take hold yet, it just the point of was that we wanted to make it into Shevet Menashe. But instead, what happened, they had the children that were from a different Shevet, and they gave over their children to that Shevet, and they gave over the land to that Shevet. So that Shevet's land is going to have them in Hogim of the Shevet Yehuda or Yisachar or whatever it is. Doesn't make a difference. It's going to have a different type of hashkafa. And I wanted to have the Shevet of Menashe's hashkafa. That's the part that we're trying to get. So we're going to try and do this by making sure that the first piece of land, as soon as it belongs to Menashe. And Okay, so that's basically it. So therefore, when they're going to be later, or whatever you call it, so then the chelik Menashe is chal. And that's really what the whole argument was about. We wanted to Gavadi can sell, and land will become parts of other shvatim, and it won't be, but they think it will still be the chelik of Menashe, the chelik of Ephraim, the chelik of what he called, because that's the chelik that's taking over the thing there. But okay. Okay. Now the houses of Bati Oichoma, all you have is 1 year to redeem it, and then it belongs to whoever bought it. And that's, I have no bailus. No, it's, I bought it, I wanted it for me, but it's not for me. It's to be there. Okay. What about city houses that are nothing but the Yochaimer? So then they have it in like a field, and whatever the field is, they go back there also. Yeah. Now, a little bit to explain the issue of ribis. Halachically, there are angles. So I'm not giving you the halach, but I want you to understand what the reason of the issue of ribis. Everything in the world that a person buys, he has ownership in. And because he bought it, he has usage of it. So for instance, he bought a car. And the car will last 10 years. So he has 10 years of actual usage. If he doesn't want to take the usage for himself, he has a right to rent it out to somebody else. And that guy will pay him full price, whatever that means, or you can make up whatever full price is. But money itself has no use. Money is only what you can buy with the money. You can't use money for money's sake itself. There isn't any money.
And silver and gold coins.
So what am I using it to buy things? But I'm saying, but if I want to give it back, I can't use it myself. I can borrow it.
If I have the money, I can invest the money, buy a car, rent it out.
Fine, good. But meanwhile, I have a car, I have money, and the money is only because you need money. So I'm taking advantage of your aniyus, whatever it is. Can't do that. My job is, if I have money and I have nothing to do with it, I'm supposed to give it to a guy. You need money, he has money. Right? But what happens if I can say, I can invest it. The bank is paying not anymore, but let's say once upon a time, bank was paying me several percent. So I'm paying several percent, so I'm going to lose that by giving you the money. So then I give a head to the skin. In other words, for that, because that's an investment. That everybody understands. I'm losing money because I'm giving you the money. But normally, I can give you the money. That's what the Torah doesn't want me to do. Anything else in the world, I have money, I want to buy a couch. I want to use the couch. I want to rent out the couch. I want to do something with the couch, right? Okay, that's fine. That's me. But Memela, I have a right to charge for the couch. I want to rent it. I have a right to charge for it. Abel, where I don't want the couch, I don't want the money. I don't want the money. If that's the case, then I'm only taking advantage of your needs. That I can't take advantage of. And that's the issue of ribbis. And we understand it that way, then there's no kasha, we understand clearly where a heterissi comes into play, where a heterissi would not be to play. Okay. So that is basically the issue. Then you have an Indian of an Evidivri, which is again, I'm investing my money in people. Obviously, in people means an Evid. So therefore I want an Eved, but not an Eved Ivri. An Eved Ivri is Avodayim, not Avodim Avodim. They can't be, it's they work, a Rebbe takes a contract. A Rav becomes a Rav in a shul under a contract. That means he's able for a contract if he quits. Technically, as long as there's a kanas, in other words, if you're breaking the contract, and therefore you have to pay X amount of dollars for it, there is no issue of being an Eved, because the choice of breaking the contract is yours. You can break that contract if you want to. You don't want to pay it, so then you won't break it. But the Maisa, as far as the choice is mine, and I can't diminish my own choice of being an Eved. In other words, so I can't be an Eved. I can't be a guy that works for 20-year contract. There's no such thing. I always have the right to quit. They also have the right to sue me if be quitting. And that's not a steer. And could even be where they'll give a knas. In other words, let's say a principal hires a staff, and the staff is not avodim. So therefore, you have a right to quit whenever you want to quit. But if you quit before you did the job, in other words, I relied on you. I decided to take a vacation now because I already had a vacation. I worked out my whole staff, and so on and so forth. So then you did me a big afla, and I have a right to make a what do you call it, blackball, like if you call it that, and saying that he's not making me. He did me an afla, and I'm not going to give him back. I relied on him. That I was able to take a vacation that year, and he went and double-crossed me, and he opened up the whatever he worked for the thing there. So therefore, it was that I didn't have my right to have my vacation, whatever it is, so I don't have to work with him anymore. I have a right to cancel him. That has nothing to do with avodahim and avodah. That's a point where you know there's a possibility of a cost, and you're willing to accept the cost, then you're able to do that. So sometimes it's called breaking the contract. Breaking the contract, you're right. I didn't want to break the contract, but I wanted the freedom to, or whatever it is, and I broke the contract. And because I broke the contract, I now have yeah.
Is that true of Rabbeim also? Is that true of Rabbeim also?
What do you mean, Rabbeim?
Rabbeim.
Rabbeim, yeah. In other words, that is a difference. L'shiva, that's all held the chilik. Between a Rebbe, that's a Rebbe, meaning, let's say, mainly discipline, meaning Chumash, stuff like that. Then he held that Rebbe has a pile all the time and he can quit. Once he teaches Gemara, he's a din of a scholar, and a scholar cannot quit. In other words, he has to quit within a certain regulated time that you can quit. But it's not just I'm free to quit whenever I want to, because I'm not a worker anymore. I'm a Rebbe. I'm somebody that has an authority, that's called a scholar. And a scholar, you can't quit.
What's the beer? Why that soror is not obvious?
Because I'm the boss.
Even though I have bosses on top of me, I'm still
Yeah, but I'm still the boss. I mean, what I feel, I'm the boss. There's a more responsible person. Okay, more responsible person, but still.
But it's not without others. It's not without others.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's not obvious. Right? That's a slow. It's not obvious. Dig ditches. That's obvious. Sit with the kids. That's obvious. But have the kids stand up for you. That's what he called. That's.
The kids don't stand up for the Chumash Rebbe.
Good question. You know, like the story that he has to go in. That l'chayr you have to stand up for the guy towards the Aleph page, because that was the Torah Semis. He said, it's right, you know, but I don't know, you know, halachically that be the sin. That was basically what he said. So the kind of difference between Gemara Rebbe and a regular Rebbe. And you see types, you ever go see these classes that they have. One is, whole Oisfield, whole gimmick, and whole thing, and other guys are that, you know, he's the balabos, he's the Rebbe of the class, he's the only thing God. Different ones.
So what's the case of Abdus? I said the one that you can never break the contract. What's the case of Abdus? What's the case of contract that you become Eved? If you could break contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
contract is all you do is break it and you get a kanas.
So what is the case of Abdus then?
But it made it that I can't break it. No, that's the problem. I can break it and then it's fine.
Okay, so Knas is fine. I could.
It's fine, yeah.
So what he's asking, what would not be fine?
So if you can break it.
There's no such mitzvahs in America as not being able to break the contract.
Huh? No, that's
Oh,
because
boy, now we're
nothing wrong breaking contract in the United States. Yeah.
Okay.
But it costs you money.
Then we would still like this problem. If you
No,
work for a
but where you're gonna have to work. You made a contract. You're gonna have to work.
Or what happens? What if I don't come?
Or put you in jail. I don't know. What.
In the army, you have the case in the army. In the army, you have those sort of things.
Now, a yid, he can't be killed in Kelas Olam because he's not your Eved. But Goyim, they are your Eved. They are good. Now, to understand, you know, the concept of slavery, that, you know, our pictures of slavery is, I would assume is the Civil War type of pictures of slavery, the Schwarzes, and then the guys who were with the whips on top of them and stuff like that. And it was horrible. It doesn't look like, Menschlichkeit, whatever it is. And slavery is terrible. Slavery is what he called. It depends if that's what you hold a slave is. Slave is, you work for me, that's it, you have no thing there. But that's not what a slave is. Minadin. A slave is a very close familial part of the family relationship. You don't sit availous for a piece of possession. I have an Eved that I own, and what do you call it? I don't have to, sit shiva for him. But we find that by us, the Mishnah says we don't sit shiva for avodim because they're not kosher. But Rabbi Gamliel said shiva for tevi avdoi because he was a kosher hoyer. So that means that the relationship between the Eved and the owner is such a personal relationship that he said shiva for. Another thing though, even though I own him, why do I say shiva for him? No, there's no such thing as you own anybody. You don't really own anybody. What do you mean I don't own anybody? You own them. Yeah, you do. Technically you do. But the Maisa, it's not, what do you call it, in the sense of that it completely has no shaykhs to you. He's your religion, he's your family, he's your what do you call it? That's what he has to be. And for those guys, you're allowed to buy avodim, and it's up to you know. It's interesting. It's not even such a simple thing to buy an Eved Kanani. That he should be chayiv as an Eved Kanani to you is not so precious. You have to make him that he does avodah in the mikveh for you. Otherwise, he goes free. So he has nothing. He's independent because he actually becoming part of Klal Yisrael to a certain extent. Not part of Klal Yisrael. That's Kedushas Yisrael, but he's part of Klal Yisrael in the fact that he has Kedusha. He has Mrs. Kisho. He has a lot of things there. Okay. Okay. Now you have a strange haftarah here. About Chanamoel and Shadi's Anavim. It's not so push the guys who these guys are. And he's coming to redeem the Sodeh that in other words, Chanamoel, who's a cousin of Yirmiyah, and he wants Yirmiyah to buy the field. I had a basic kasha on this thing. Here's mashma that the Navi told him that Yirmiyah, when she was telling Yirmiyah, I want you to go make Yomim Rabim. I want you to be able to make the star stand up for a long time, and I put it in clay cheres and so on with the preservation, whatever it is there, in there. And yeah, we learned that in the Vorum we'll learn again that that land that was given away Yerusha, Amen, Moav. Once the Benjamin gave it, take it back. You got it. Tia b'sichen, what he called. So once again, so therefore, what bigger hefkeros is there than Nebuchadnezzar coming in and capturing Yerushalayim and taking off and taking away the owners from here and there and everyone, making a hefkeros of all ownership and everything else? It doesn't belong to us anymore. So how is he going to make it and sell it to Shalom? Then the thing, it's not going to be his thing to sell, to buy. So you could learn shot that maybe all the Navi wanted over here was to show that we are going, that the Benishim is guaranteeing us coming back. Not that this is, that it's not our, that it's always ours. No, the tag is going to become always ours. But the Maisa, as far as all technical points are, it's going to be, what do you call it? I guarantee it's going to happen. Okay.
But maybe should give it to him by Esav. Maybe should give Esav that whole land. But over here, he just conquered it. It's not his. Maybe should didn't give it to him as Zerusha.
Yeah, but
He didn't get the Zerusha. Esav got the Zerusha. The Amonwar got the Zerusha. What they like.
so it was
But
big
nevertheless, he
cloud.
didn't get the Zerusha. Actually, didn't give him Zerusha.
Why not?
But it didn't say anywhere that he got the Zerusha. Or Lloyd got the.
I got the Klal Yisrael, got the
No, not the Klal. No, I'm talking about Nachnitza.
huh?
Nachnitza, the Melech.
Oh no, yeah, but not it, but okay, you're right, but as far as the land itself, that's Yerusha. Okay, so therefore the land that Hanamal had, l'chayr is Yerusha to him. So l'chayr, if Nebuchadnezzar comes in and takes over the place, it's Isis thing. There's no, you can't own something that doesn't stand up. So it's not his. So it could be the Stam did it. That the Pshat is to show that I'm guaranteeing you that this is what's going to happen in the future. They're going to have people coming back and everything else and so on. Would this particular land be mine? Maybe not. It's still the Kohanim's land. I mean, see exactly how they worked out the Kohanim's land, Zechet Shver, Levim's land, the Kohanim's land. They had 1,000 amas from the things at the end of the city, 2,000, whatever it is there. How much did each individual get? Where they just kept piling Levim in there, no matter how many he had. So it's not a point of what he got. So obviously, there'll be a time when it's going to be, there's just nothing left. Okay. Yeah. One thing I want to say in Parshas, which I believe we'll go back to again, Mirz Hashem, next week, is a strange Rashi. It says, if you go my ways, Yes, mitzvah tishmo, and you'll learn my mitzvahs. And you'll do them. So Rashi, Yochel, you'll think that b'chuvosai telechu means kiyum mitzvahs. So it says, since it says mitzvah tishmeru, it doesn't mean that. Why didn't he use the normal words? They're also in the pasuk. And that I did it. And the particular Chumash I'm using doesn't have a v'chul or a gomer or anything of that sort. And therefore to say that's why I'm using it, I'm not using it for that reason. It's not what we call it. Okay. So what does the bench want from us? The Yisod. That the biggest mitzvah that we do is not the learning of the mitzvah, not even the doing of the mitzvah, that we become the mitzvah. We have to learn it and become part of it. And it's naked in us that we believe it, and so on. And that's the Iker Zach that's going to be about the union of So that's the that's the mitzvah. It's not talking about the mitzvah that what do you call it? Will be Amel Bater. What does Amel Bater mean? He's saying don't have this much Hovanya, this such Hovanya. No, but it means Hovanya Taki. Keep shooting, but because we're going to see what the Hovanya is. That's what he says. I'm not the best of what he called now. So you'll be Michael me if I'm cutting this year short a little. Have a good Shabbos, not Tzlocha Rabbit, you know.
Who just gonna tell me how to do it, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not going to tell you for 5 minutes. Okay. Good Shabbos. You're supposed to listen. There it is.
Hey, you unmute everybody.
One second. I have to look at the one we can say. There we go. Now they're gonna mute.
Shabbos to the Rosh Hashanah
Shabbos.
and everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbos, Rosh Hashanah.
Shabbos ready.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.